Three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode on the Long with FVR. Today we have Siwar.
Siwar. Siwar from Tunisia, and I'm currently pursuing my MBA at Asia School of Business. I'm part of the class of FT 2022. So I'm Fabian's senior. I'll be graduating soon, hopefully in June with my classmates.
Thanks for doing this. So, you mentioned that you are from Tunisia.
Yes.
So tell us a little more about that place of the world. Many people who are watching this right
Sure.
now would be like, where is that? Or how that?
I've been through that before.
Uh-huh.
So Tunisia is a small country in North Africa. So we're getting the best of both worlds. So we can be Africans and Middle Eastern at the same time. So if you heard of the Arab Spring, so Tunisia was the country that started the Arab Spring back in 2011. So we're a very small nation, but a very active nation somehow.
Wow. I remember that one back in 2011.
Yes.
So, can you tell us how was on your daily activities when that happened? Because for many people it was like, I saw that on the news, but pretty much.
Sadly, I also saw that in the news because at that time I was in the United States. I got the Fulbright scholarship, so I was at that time during the academic year 2010 and 2011. So I was based in Washington D.C. So I also followed everything through the news. Definitely, it was a bit more stressful because you know that your family, your friends, your loved ones are there, and the political situation and the security was a bit fragile at that time. But it was a very exciting time back then. Sadly, things did not turn as we wished, but it's okay.
I remember that all of the students, some friends that we had in the Texas A&M cohort for the petroleum engineering. And so I want also to shout out to Maria Catani or the other friends from Saudi Aramco and the Kuwait Oil Company that we also were following those news, and it was first time it's happening, and there was always the feeling for a brighter future.
Exactly.
Which in retrospective was alright. It was a right feeling to have back then. Few people know that you are from Tunisia, but very fewer people know that you have that on your resume, that you're a Fulbright scholar. So people is maybe watching this, what is a Fulbright?
Definitely. So the Fulbright program is a scholarship program, or let's say fellowship program, that the United States government offer to international students. So there is two types of programs. So the one that I was part of was the FLTA, which is foreign language teaching. So the students from Middle East, from Latin America, so we travel to the United States and we do 1 year. So we take some classes, auditing, or you can get it as a credit also. And we teach our own languages to the students there. So for me, I was at that time designated to go to Washington, D.C., SAIS, School of Advanced International Studies, Johns Hopkins. And maybe that experience was one of the experiences that really paved my path in the future, that led me maybe to where I am today. It was a very nice experience.
Wow. How long you were there?
For one academic year.
Okay.
So it started from August till May, end of May. So it's fully.
Yeah, May 2011, right? Or
Yes. So I went back to Tunisia May 2011.
Wait a second. Hold on. Wait a second.
What's going on?
You went on May 2011, so I bet you remember during also those days that people were going out on the streets celebrating because they got Bin Laden. You remember those?
Oh, I remember. Especially that my school at that time was international.
Tell us what was that.
I was not really involved in this because part of the things when we were they were preparing us to go for this program. So usually we have a lot of cultural session about cultural sensitivities. And one of the rules that I have is that you don't talk to people about religion nor politics if you want to keep peace. So to be honest, there was not a lot of people were excited about it, but to be honest, there was not that much debate. So it was an interesting time, but honestly I don't recall anything from that that time.
I recall it if it were yesterday. It was Sunday night. I remember with our friends, we were studying for a final, and one of our other friends were watching the game, and then all of a sudden they saw the baseball game was paused. It was, I guess, the New York Mets and some other one. I guess it was the Los Angeles Angels. and they stopped because they got the news. Everybody was watching their phones, and then we switched from the game to actual MSNBC, and we were watching President Obama walking from the wing. People were saying they got him. Like, what do you know? Yeah, they got him. Who? I don't know. What they got him? And then they announced that they got the operation to get Osama bin Laden. It was Sunday night of May, and then all of the students were people like, I remember also some cameras on the streets saying that they got finals, but they didn't care because they wanted to celebrate. And I was like, celebrate what? Dude, come on. Yeah, you have a finals. It's a week of the finals. Go back to study.
That's true.
But that was the first week of May, if I remember. Yeah, the week of the finals.
I think people got excited at the beginning and celebrated, and then, humans are humans. Everyone goes back to their daily lives after a bit of excitement.
Yeah.
But now I remember. I remember very well. I remember now.
Yeah, that was it's gonna be 10 years. Can you imagine that? No more, 11 years.
Yeah, so it means 10 years added to my life. Yes, definitely.
Wow.
But the experience was really good at that time when I was in the US, and it was, when you interact with a lot of international students, it was not my first time, to be honest, to interact with a lot of international students, people from different countries. But what was interesting about that experience, that I come from an art background, and then I suddenly found myself in that kind of academic environment, which was very interesting: international development, international relations, security studies. So by interacting with different classmates at that time and my own students, so one of the things they gave me as an advice, they said, Siwar, now when you go back to Tunisia, try to work for 2 or 3 years, then you should do what we did, and you should go back again for school doing a master's degree. And that was the moment when I started also thinking about, okay, now I think I should go for grad school. And it was exactly what I did. So I went back to Tunisia, I worked in development, because when the revolution happened, so international organizations were able now to come and operate in Tunisia. So I worked there with American funded programs, then 1 year with the BBC Media Action, which is the NGO part of BBC, the media news company. And then I decided to go for a master's degree. It was not this MBA. This MBA came later, so I decided to go for a master's in international development. But I guess where? South Korea.
South Korea.
Yes.
Which part of South Korea?
I was in Daegu, which is it's the south region, but it's a bit in the center. And yeah, it's when I told everyone at that time that I'm going to South Korea, everyone was surprised. South Korea at that time was famous, but it still was not famous the way how BTS made it right now. So when I was there in 2014, so their drama was famous, the culture was famous, but it's not as much as it is famous now. So the program was also very rewarding, and it was for me the first time I was more focused on doing my grad school in the United States. So I enjoyed the year that I spent in DC. So I was thinking to go and pursue my grad school and do my master's in the US, but then things turned out that I went to the opposite direction, and that's how my eyes opened about new cultures like Asia, and I had a lot of Southeast Asian classmates. Because of that experience, I wanted to come also to Malaysia, because most of my classmates were from Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, and then by interacting with them, and I still have really, really good friendships. My best friends are still from Vietnam, the Philippines. So that also affected my decision later on in life, that I decided to come back to Southeast Asia, and then ASB came along as part of the adventure.
So we have right now Tunisia, we have Washington DC, we have also South Korea.
Yes.
So which are the small details that make South Korea different?
First, because at that time I wanted to go to grad school. So the funny part that I told all my friends that if you hear of any scholarship anywhere in the world, I'm open to go. So I did not plan for South Korea. I was planning for any country as long as it's a scholarship, because I still could not afford like to pay for my studies like in a foreign country. And by chance, a friend of mine, she texted me. She was like, "Oh, Siwar, you mentioned that you're looking for a scholarship. There is a scholarship by the government of Daegu, the Atamkyorg Sampukto. I know you're looking for a scholarship." And immediately I just applied for that scholarship. And I was also interested in international development, and they had the international development major. So it's like every, as you said, small detail like was perfect, and they made like the bigger picture. So I went to Korea, and the program was very interesting. So we had like public policy, we had international development, we had a major that teaches the Korean development model, because we know all that the miracle of the Han River. So the country developed really fast. So one of the most interesting parts is that we had some classes, at least for my major, that they taught us like how they developed, like what happened at that time that helped them develop. And some of my professors were, like now they're really like, they retired, but they still brought them back. So some of them, I remember, I think 2 of my professors were part of the people who worked before in the planning, like when they were doing like the planning for South Korea, like the railroads and everything. So it was a very nice experience. A new culture for me. I was very open, like to explore like a new culture, a new country. Like I've never been, like it's, South Korea is, let's say, Far East somehow. So everything was appealing and exciting.
And which year was that?
It was 2014.
Oh, World Cup year. That was a World Cup year. South Korea was in Brazil 2014.
I'm not really following, to be honest, like soccer games, but I remember there was a game, I think Korea against Tunisia. I don't know when was that. I don't know what is it, but I still remember something. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna watch this one. This is my country, and this is a country that I'm grateful for. So I'm out. I'm not supporting anyone.
Yeah, you have to recuse yourself for any.
Exactly. Everyone is looking at me like my Korean classmates. Siwar? I was like, what do you want me to say? I'm out.
Yeah,
But
it happens.
nice.
It happens a lot.
It was. I don't remember when was that game, to be honest. Was it that year or after? But I think that was once like a game like that, and they put me on the spot. I was like, no. But yeah, so that also kept me very attached to Asia. So even though after I graduated from Korea and I went back to Tunisia, so I work, save money, and then I do at least twice a year I come back to Southeast Asia for a holiday. So either the Philippines or Vietnam or Thailand. Then usually what I do like, I buy like my round trip to one of these countries, and then I try to go like with like on short trips, like from Malaysia to Philippines, Philippines to Hanoi, Hanoi to Bangkok.
Is that a Siwar tour? The Siwar tour?
I do it just to go and have it's like a cup of coffee with my friends. A lot of people, they say, "Are you rich?" I was like, "I'm not rich. What I do in Tunisia, I have no life in Tunisia. I just like work, home, and I save money so I can be able to go and fly." Yeah, you need to please everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I have my besties in Thailand, like Hanoi, and like the Philippines, and they family. I'm very close to
I
their
guess that was
families.
the Siwar Southeast Asia tour.
Exactly.
That was cool. That was
It
cool.
was.
Were you selling the tickets like, look at that, it's gonna be only 5 people for this coffee shop, and then in other countries gonna be also 5 people?
No, what I do usually, what I tell my friends is like, I'm coming, so there is 2 things. So I enjoy like doing like sightseeing when I travel to different countries, but at the same time I also go there because I want to connect and I want to spend some time with my friends. So for me it's more about the human like interaction. So sometimes in some of these trips I don't do any sightseeing. I just be me chilling with my friend. Either we go to coffee shops, we go around. Some of them, like most of the time, they take me like to do some sightseeing since they are locals, which is very interesting. So my food, they always take me like to try different foods. They know that I can't eat like certain like food, so they always like trying to help me, especially that I don't speak the language. But yeah, so we go. So Hanoi, it was really fun. Hanoi, we did a lot of like coffee shop hopping, like we keep like trying. It was very nice, and I even bought like a lot of people they keep making fun of me. I bought even like the coffee drip. and I take it with me now everywhere. So I take it with me. We went to MIT, to Boston, I took it with me. I go to Tunisia, I take it with me. I came back to Malaysia, I took it with me.
Wow, you did a lot of coffee shop. It's like
I like it.
the
It was very fun.
like in London will be the pub crawl. Like in also some bars, it will be like you go in this bar, you take one, and it's like okay, I got this one, and you move on, and then you complete the cart, and then you get something.
For me,
It sounds like a
the
coffee shop.
coffee. It's even funnier. So when I go to Hanoi, so my friend, like two, so what she does, she buys me an equivalent of a year of stock of coffee and put it
Wow.
in my suitcase. She was like, Siwar, this is your Vietnamese coffee. And I think I've never, like for the past, I'm now 37, like I've never drank coffee in my life. Because of that, I started drinking coffee. So now I'm like a coffee addict.
Okay, so in Vietnam they give you a
A gift
supply of
coffee.
1 year of coffee.
Yes.
So when you do the travels, how the custom says, wait a second, there is so much coffee there.
No, but okay, let's say
How is
10,
that?
10 boxes,
Uh-huh.
they're still okay.
Ah,
It's
okay.
personal consumption.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good.
So no, that's okay. There was one time that. So the good thing that when I go back to Tunisia, like Tunisia, there are not that much like restrictions, for example. So from Hanoi I traveled. So they know that the quantity is just like small. Like if it's 10 boxes, like of course I'm not going to be able to consume. But yeah.
I can imagine that all of a sudden there is another Siwar in another parallel universe, like selling each boxes for $10,000. It's like you want one. It's very exclusive.
No, it's a good quality. Like so, what I when I tell Tu at that time that I'm coming to Vietnam, she needs to call a friend in the highlands of Vietnam so she can get me the best quality coffee. Like it's not like that.
Wow, that's
I'm spoiled.
huge. That's
I'm being
huge.
spoiled.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I think this is what is really nice, and I really enjoy like connecting with people. And I think life is about those kind of moments with friends. And I think I can consider myself lucky that I've met really good people in the right time, and I'm still having those kind of connections. I can consider myself. I have like family in Manila, like Philippines, in Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, and it's like all my friends. I know their families. I go and stay with their families. It's really nice.
Because of people who may watch this episode will be interested to also see other places for sightseeing, and
They
because
should.
you already
They should.
have many tours under your record, like which is the best place for hands?
I knew you're gonna ask this question.
Yeah.
I can't answer this question because I was asked this question. So I meet a lot of my Tunisian friends like Siwar, which country we should visit. I was like, each country has its specificities. I cannot say, for example, Philippines is better or Vietnam is better. Philippines has its own islands, its own food, culture, which is like different. They own like, I enjoy also like going through the traditional outfits. They have their own like clothes. Vietnam also is like a different, complete like culture, different food, different culture. So I think if they can, you should visit all of them.
That's good.
It's really worth it. It's
So you
worth
better
it.
start saving
Saving money.
for your tour. Or you can start also talking to your friends like, okay, we're gonna do in this coffee shop, we're gonna sell tickets, so only 5 people will come, and that's how you start making money on your tour. So you can also.
No, the coffee shops are already like small. So the good thing that Vietnam, Hanoi has a very nice side of it. It's like Vietnam is famous with coffee. They have a lot of those like small coffee shops, and usually you have the seats like outside, like in the street, like in front of the coffee shop. It's so beautiful. So it's already like small. So you don't have to get tickets. It's already small.
Wow.
So you can just go with your friends, and then the whole place is yours. But it's worth it. So you should really visit. Southeast Asia is very beautiful.
And I'm surprised to hear that coffee has been repeated so many times, because if you take the perspective from South America, you will hear that Colombia or Brazil, it's like people will only travel there for coffee, but there are also other businesses to do.
Fabian, now it should be fair. So, I've never been to Latin America, but my brother, Ashraf, used to go a lot for like conferences and events in Latin America. So, we also get coffee from Colombia, like Brazil. So yes, so we at a certain time in the house we had all the types of coffee. Like I bring the ones from Vietnam, we have the ones from Latin America, and it's also good. So yeah, Colombia definitely Like,
Oh yes,
it's
you
a bit
have
lovely.
all the other choices as well, like some Venezuelan coffee, some
Soaps
Ecuadorian
also.
coffee.
They have very like in
Yeah,
Latin
soups.
America they have the natural soaps. Oh my god, it's so nice. It smells really good. And
Hmm.
I still keep some of them. I brought them with me also to Kuala Lumpur. I have some in my room.
That's true. So after you did your tour in Southeast Asia and then you came back to Tunisia,
Hmm.
uh, how was the dynamics and what made you go? It's time to do a round two now on Malaysia.
So I went back to Tunisia and I worked for three, let's say 4 years. So when I was in Korea, when I was doing my research, so we're supposed to do something regarding rural development, economic development. But at that time in 2015, there was a terrorist attack in Tunisia.
Mm.
So luckily, I still did not submit my topic. So I went to my professor and said, "Can I do my thesis on security? I want to see why people end up doing this and like something related to security, countering violent extremism, these kind of things." So I remember my professor. They were like, "Siwar, we would love you to do whatever you like, but none of us has a background in security. Like most of them are like economists,
Mm.
public, like they do a lot of work in public policy, politics. So they told me, we will try to support you, but we might not be able to help the way how you expect. So I said, it's okay. For me, it will be like a new learning, like adventure. So the school supported me really. Like the books were very expensive. They ordered the books for me and everything. So because of that thesis, when I went back to Tunisia, I landed a job in a consultancy company that they do a lot of work in project management, but they specialize in the conflict-affected countries and states.
Mm.
So which means I was able to use whatever I did in my thesis. So for 4 years, I specialized in institutional development, and we did a lot of really good work with the Tunisian government. So during that time, I was still going back and forth to my Southeast Asian tour, and I remember that day I came back from Malaysia. It was the first time I visited Malaysia in 2019, after I finished my contract with the company. And then I was with a friend, we were talking, and I was like, I wanna spend some time in Southeast Asia, and I wanna have my own business. So one of my long-term dreams is to have my own company. And then we were like talking, and then he looked at me and was like, I have something for you. He was like, how about an MBA in Malaysia? I was like, this is perfect. So he was the one who applied at that time for ASB, but they told him because he was just recently he just graduated, so he doesn't have 2 years of work experience. So they told him, stay in touch, and then when you have at least 2 years of work experience, come back and apply for ASB. So he was like, Siwar, you're definitely qualified. You have 7 years of work experience. You should apply. And definitely that what happened. So I got in touch with ASB. They said, yeah, you should apply. And then here I am at Asia School of Business, almost graduating soon.
Yes, that's
so
nice.
this is how the whole thing happened. So I thought an MBA would be good. You don't want to be I wanted to be a CEO with at least some business knowledge, and MBA was for me the best thing that I decided to do.
And let me guess, that meeting with your friend was in a coffee shop.
Let me remember. Actually, no.
Okay,
we were walking by the beach.
Ah.
So it was more it's actually interesting. So this person, I was taken over his job, his position. So he resigned to go for school, and I was taken over. So we were doing the transition, and then we were walking and talking about the work and everything. And then I started sharing because he was also a friend. So yeah, this time it was not a coffee shop.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So that change of scenery. That now you were working in a beach and thinking to do business in Southeast Asia. That is very different from the first Siwar we talked that was with arts background doing an English in Washington DC.
It is true. So this is why I keep telling people it's always good. I was able to, and I was blessed to get out of my comfort zone many times. And it's very interesting because I know that I had an art background, but I thought that should not limit me from knocking on different doors. I might not have the skills. For me, this MBA was me really getting out of my comfort zone. It's like I had to study math all over again, which for me, like math is a very, it's like I'm in my mid-30s. I finished school, like high school. That was the last time I studied math. It was high school. It was back in 2003, so it was a long time ago. And then I need to study math because most of the classes will have math. So for me, it was exciting because I wanted really to do an MBA, but it was really a very uncomfortable, let's say, journey in the beginning. So I had to study. So they told me, you want to do an MBA? You need to be good in math. So am I willing to do that sacrifice, which spending like 6 months is like studying math all over again, which I did in a coffee shop, which is my favorite place to be very productive. We'll talk about that.
Someone give her a membership, please. Someone give her a membership. Where is Starbucks doing a commercial with you?
Starbucks is very cold in Malaysia. I can't stand the air condition. So yeah, I try like to find usually. Surprisingly, you feel more productive in coffee shops. I think because it's an open environment and people are going around, the energy is like changing. So if I want to be creative, I usually go to a coffee shop. I don't stay in a closed place. I go to places where there is people around me, and usually it's a coffee shop. So I can drink something. But actually, like going back to the same topic. So yes, from art I went to development, but the good thing that transition was smooth. So each time there was a transferable skill. So for example, from my English, because I did English language and literature as for my BA, so then I had the English language as a skill that helped me because my program in Korea was in English, so that helped. Also the work experience that we mentioned. So when you do work experience, then you decide to go for school, you already have the practical experience because I worked in international development before I do my master's in international development. So the transition was still smooth. Then when I did my master's in development, there will be some of also transferable skills to business, which is like project management, research methodologies, which is some qualitative and quantitative, which we also used in this MBA. So the transition was also like somehow not very smooth, but there was some transferable skills that I was able to bring from my background in development to business. So it is true that it looks like it's very different, but if you try to connect the dots and you try to find each time like some transferable skills from each experience, I think if you put all of them together, you can build like a whole like path, which I try to do.
So the whole point is not measure like the initial point and the last point, but you have to
the journey.
Exactly, the journeys, the stages.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense because a lot of people don't have the time or they really don't want to do it, and it's like they only see the cover of the book and it's like, wait a second. The cover of the book was also a design, talking from the art perspective, based on the content of the book.
Exactly.
Right?
But yeah, sometimes you cannot really judge this, and you can't judge the book by its cover. I think also the different stages that I had, they helped me also grow on many levels. Because also when you meet people from different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds, it helps you also know who you are also as a person. It will definitely help also shape your identity. And it's something that I've really enjoyed. Like I've been in very like international events, and I was at university. I don't know if you heard of ISEC, so I was part of ISEC, and that international student organization, I owe a lot to that organization because it gave me the space when I was still a student, like undergraduate student, like to try like to be in some leadership roles. And part of the international events we had with like ISEC is that we go for international events, congresses, and usually we have 110 countries, and imagine you have different representatives. So I was part of that environment. It is a lot, but it's so fun. I was young, it was very fun, and the way how ISEC, like we organize the events, so we have usually like the plenary sessions where every country do their own dance, introduction. So imagine you'll be sitting and you're watching like live, like 110 countries, representatives like performing. It was a very nice experience, and I think those shaped for the person that I am today. And then in Korea also I was able to also meet like a lot of my class had almost like 56 nationality. So like ASB, we have a lot of nationalities, but when I was in Korea, like my own class, it was like, we were like 18, but we still take classes with different other majors. So we always interact like almost like 56. So we have, from each country, we have 1 or 2 like students. So it was very diverse. And it was very nice. Like, we get to know about each other. The class discussions and debate. Development is a bit different from business, because in development we start talking, like especially if you have Africans and Southeast, we start talking about our history, economy. So it gives you like an idea about like the different countries' backgrounds.
And that's the first element you had to put in development before talking about business, right? Or is different?
I always, now I say it, as someone who comes from the development background and now into business, I think both should be, I don't want to say coexist, no, they should be combined. Because you can't have economic development, or you can't really achieve development without business. And I feel like also business should also be responsible and help when it comes to that. So when we talk, for me, when I found the most connection between my previous background and current background is when we talk about sustainability. So those were the moment when I started, like I was like, okay, now I think I'm useful. Because before, like when you come from, like, for me, like I was someone who came to business from a different background. So I was not confident. I'm not going to lie. So I had a lot of self-doubt, like during this journey at the MBA. Sometimes I felt not good enough, because like I knew that even though I tried hard with like quants, which is math and everything, I still know I have limitations if I compare myself to other classmates. So I had that kind of self-doubt like at a certain time. But then when I started looking to different things, that sometimes even then you come to business from another background, you still can bring something with you. So so I have the background in public policy and development, which we really use like a lot. Like when it came to business, we use it when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about corporate social responsibility. So then I was like, so here they emerge. And I always, whenever I had like sessions with like our CDO, the career office, they tell me that Siwar, there is always transferable skills. That's why I talked about the transferable skills. They said, Siwar, there must be skills that you can bring from your background and development to business. And I think, yes, I managed like somehow now to connect the dots, and I think I know like which direction. So project management is there. Even with business, sometimes you need to write policies when it comes to economic development. So it's good that I have that kind of background. So you get the best of both worlds.
Yes, when you mention about writing policy, it's so important to not only be to the point, but also choose the right words.
That's
Because
true.
a lot of people will read the same sentence and will interpret it in a different way. Tell us about an experience you had helping to write a policy.
Actually, we did not actually write policies, because usually this comes from like someone in the parliament or the government, and we influence somehow. At least for me, like I know certain organizations, let's say in my country or like around the world, they help like draft policies. In my case, we helped influence, because we work closely with government officials, like in capacity building, sometimes in helping them with their methodology, how they do work, how they improve the processes in their organization. So that somehow helps, because when you give them like the tools and you help them also through these capacity building programs, they're the ones developing better policies for the country. So I can say that I did not write myself, but somehow with the work that I've been doing in Tunisia is that we influence. We influence the public policy, like policies in general. But also at ASB when we work, I think we still like somehow some of the classes that we had, they include like a lot of work on policies and like the case studies that we have. So there is a connection. So each time I find there is a connection between my previous background. So I'd be like, this is like I know. So it was not totally like a strange like environment, like joining an MBA. So there was a lot of like connection between my previous background and my current background. And I noted that I know your class. You went to the island, Batu Pahad.
Tenga Island in
sorry,
Batu Batu Resort.
For us, we Batu Pahad. So where we went. So we went to the farms. So some people enjoyed like the beach, but it's okay. It was for us very. You did not. Did you not?
I can
Did
tell you
not for-
something, but go with your point. Go with your point.
So for us, like that was for me the most wonderful event that I had throughout my experience here at ASB. First, because I was a lockdown, and suddenly they told us, "Oh, you're gonna go for a week outside of school. You're gonna have a study trip." So that was the ops practicum, sustainability operations practicum. So for me, that was the time when I really felt like proud of my background, and I said, "Okay, Siwar, you can be useful somehow."
Don't say that. Don't say that.
That's what we talk about it. That's we call it sometimes when the imposter syndrome visits you. I did not know that there's something like this existed. So my brother was like, I was like, I don't feel confident, and he was like, Siwar,
Men also have the same thing.
Exactly. He told me, Siwar, a lot of people have that, even the successful ones. So I was like, okay, and I did some research. But then we'll go back to the practicum. So it was very fun. For the first time, we had to go through the whole palm supply chain. So we all went there, and we experienced it, like the whole thing from collecting the fruit from the farm until like the mill. So how they produce it. So for me, that was one of the experiences through this MBA. There was other, of course, there is other experiences, but that one really made me connect well between my development background and the business. And for me, that was one of the experiences that really made me think that it's good. It's good that I have two backgrounds, and it's good that I had 2 degrees. And now it's time to connect them together. And maybe bring the best out of both of them.
I'm happy to hear how your experience with the practitioner was and your point of view.
Good.
What happened in our cohort was that, okay, you got the opportunity to go to Tenga Island and the Basopatu resort. And it's a tropical island, very nice, but there is a caveat. There is not so much electricity, there is not so much Wi-Fi, there is not so much places to actually work together. And we were there to work. So all of the students, you were trying to design a plan for sustainability, and you had to get your people together, but there was no places to sit. You had to sit with laptops close by the beach, which it can be dangerous because you have your own laptop and everything is there. Or you have to go to the restaurant and there is not enough plugs, or there is not enough Wi-Fi, and if you depend on your hotspot of your cell phone, all of the sudden you will have to put some ringgits, because otherwise how can you send the emails? And I remember there was some people that go to the other island to do their part of the project, which was nice. And when we were sharing the feedback, there was at least the sustainability groups, they have to travel towards the TIC, which is at least 5 minutes walking under the sun, and it was a lot of heat, a lot of humidity, sometimes it was raining. So it was something that people got the first time to be in nature, at least 4 or 5 days.
And it's beautiful, yeah.
It's beautiful until you realize you miss modern civilization, and then you realize, that's why people in the past were able to survive nature, because they design cities, they design infrastructure to be away of the bugs, to be away of the inclement weather, and then we felt that in the first place. We got a chance to collaborate to pick up and recycle the trash around 2,200 kilograms.
Exactly, 2 tons.
Yes, 2 tons.
Yeah.
2,000 and a little more, which was nice. And then it was also challenging for people who was on the first time trying to do intense physical activity, not because of the weight you have to carry, but the time you have to do that.
Exactly.
It was
back and forth.
3 hours, 4 hours in the weather, which is beach weather.
And it's very hot.
Yes.
Malaysia is hot.
So all of a sudden, you have that thermal shock. And if you don't have the right equipment, like the right shoes, the right shirts, then you begin to feel a little uncomfortable, and then you have to meet your team, already tired, to get things done. The last day was fascinating, because all of a sudden we were having a time to finish the presentation. Everybody was in the restaurant, and there was 2 guests that they reserved the tables. So it was all of this, no more tables.
Everyone is there.
Everybody was there, and everybody was about to fight to each other, even eliminate friendships of months or years just for an electric clock. That was like, wait a second, we were supposed to be friends.
Not with electricity.
Uh-huh.
Not when it comes to getting a plug.
And then the presentation was supposed to be done without no projector in that TIC place.
Mhm.
So it was like 5 hours of presentation in that place
The restaurant.
out of out of the blue, until it was changing on the very last minute. Everybody will have presentation on the restaurant, and that was good, and that was really good, because I remember there was a lot of wind and there was a lot of rain on the first hours of that afternoon, so we dodged a huge bullet. In retrospective, I really want to send my greetings to Chair for hosting our class there, because it was a fascinating experience. It was a nice way to balance nature with work, and how that can be done together.
It's very nice.
Especially because Tenga Island is one of those places in South China Sea that you really want that to be preserved, not only for Malaysians but people from around the world.
Exactly.
The experience you have right there, if I can have the chance to come back on my own terms, of course I will, because that place is like you experience.
I saw pictures. It's heaven.
Yes, and you are so far away from the civilization that you see the stars are bright. All of a sudden, remember a song that we used to sing in Texas, like the stars at night are big and bright, big in the heart of Texas.
Yeah, because you're out of the city light.
Yeah,
Exactly,
you see,
you can see them.
and big shout out to Acel, who showed me the app Star Walk.
Oh, yeah, and now I have it on my phone.
Star.
So big shout out to Akil, who showed me that app.
So this is not paid promotion, but Star Walks allows you to see at night all the stars, the
Yeah,
constellations,
exactly, it gives you the location.
meteorite showers, and meteorite stars, comets passing by.
Oh, it was so, yeah, me too. Like it was, I also like he was using it one day. Like we were in Penang for like an action learning project, and then they came to visit my classmates from India, Akil and Arun. So we went, me and them and Devika, to like one of the beaches in there. And then I was looking at him, he's like this, like looking to the sky. I was like, what are you doing? He was like, oh, I'm using this app. And then I was like, let me get that app. It's very useful.
Mm-hmm.
You should try it, guys. It's very nice.
That's true, absolutely. So Penang, you were in Penang.
Yes.
So how is Penang? I heard something
It's
about.
so beautiful.
I heard something about the digital Penang.
So for us, that was our host, but let's not talk about work. We just finished our presentation yesterday.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna tell you about Penang as a touristic
Okay.
destination. So the first time I came to Malaysia in 2019, I just landed in Kuala Lumpur and I went for 4 days to Penang. So for me, the vibe that I got in Penang is the one that brought me back to Malaysia, honestly.
Oh.
So Penang is it's very calm if I compare it. So it's still they have a lot of big manufacturing areas. So a lot of industries there manufacturing, but still there is a lot of beautiful places. Like they have the Penang Hill, so you can go up the hill. It's very beautiful. It gives you like a panoramic view of the city. It has a lot, like what I like, they have the food experience there. So there is a lot of like food, like places, like restaurants, like small stalls, like food. A lot of coffee shops, like if you're someone who likes to try like different things. They have like street arts that Penang is really famous with that one, and a lot of tourists come there to just collect them. So they go and take photos. Like there is actually an actual map that will take you like around them, so it guides
really?
you through. It's very nice if you want to really, if you're someone who's competitive and you want to really have that competition with your friends. So there is a map. So through the map you can find where these are like street art, where they are in the street, and you can go and take a photo and then you collect them. So it has like a whole like path like to go through all of them. So definitely, since you're still here in Malaysia, you should visit.
So what
Penang.
happens? What happens when I collect all the graffitis?
Just for it's
Do
not
I get a
graffiti,
wish?
it's like we're all looking for wishes. No, actually, it's you just show that you've been through it. It's I heard they're very beautiful. I've got the chance to see some of them, but I heard that there is even more than what I've seen. So I think a lot of people just go out of curiosity. They want to explore it. They have a lot of also museums. Like they have the Upside Down Museum. They have the Food Museum, which is like it has like some I don't know how to call them, but like they give you like demonstrations, like an actual, I don't know how we call them, like samples of different food, but it's not actual, and I don't know how they do them with silicone or I don't know. It's called like the food museum. So you can go and see like different kind of like dishes from different countries, demonstration. It is really beautiful. I know like there is some beaches there, but it's still like it's nice. Like you can walk around like by the ocean. Penang is a must see. It's one of the best. I personally find it one of the best places I've seen here in Malaysia. So yes, if you're in Malaysia, please like Penang is like a must see.
And we have a lot of friends that come from Penang.
Classmates.
Yeah.
I had also like some of the people that I met. They said that they come from Penang. It's very beautiful. You should see. We have also some of the Action Learning like team members who are also from Penang. Argor. And she helped us a lot, like when we were going there. So we asked her a lot of questions, and she guided us. So Penang is a must see. I still did not go to other places here in Malaysia, but at least I got to see like Penang. Melaka is also beautiful. I still did not visit islands, so maybe I should visit the island.
How is Melaka? Because I remember that Melaka in the past was like a port from the Portuguese.
It has a lot of the Spanish architecture, to be honest. I can feel that kind of like vibe. I don't know why I always found Melaka and a bit like of some of the towns in the Philippines a bit similar, which is definitely because it has the Hispanic like influence. But Melaka is beautiful. Like there is an area there, it's very beautiful. It has like some museums, and so you should also visit. It's one of the beautiful places here. I did not get the chance to explore like the whole city, but I was able through with friends like to go through the river. We took like small boat and we went
Really?
On tour on the river. It was very beautiful. So definitely, yeah, I recommend Melaka.
Wow.
But I also heard that Ipoh is also good.
Ipoh.
Ipoh, I think the name is Ipoh. So it's also beautiful. Cameron Highlands, like a friend also recommended it. Langkawi, I think everyone know internationally is talking about Langkawi, but I still did not really get the chance to visit. But Malaysia is a beautiful country. It's a must see.
Wow.
For me, it was very comfortable.
Very nice to see that. Now, something that is happening right now in Malaysia, and I guess mostly around the world if you're observing, and we want to talk about this because we have so many friends also observing this. It's the Ramadan.
Oh, yeah, I'm observing Ramadan.
So tell us a little more about that, because from somebody, I got so many years living in Texas, and I had friends who were from the Muslim religion. We observed that as a way to help them, give them the courage. But for somebody who is totally unfamiliar, they will say, "What is Ramadan?" Like, can you tell us?
Some people even think that we stopped eating and drinking for a month.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
how I'm gonna live. I'm still alive now.
Yeah. And we can see you.
Exactly.
We can hear you. Like, of course he's alive.
So what we do, we stop. So actually, like the month has a lot of like. It's for us a holy month, like for the Muslim community around the world. So usually, like just to summarize it, so for us, like it's a way how you train yourself, like and let's say your soul in general. So we're supposed to refrain from food and drinks like during the day, like from the sunrise till the sunset. So this is like to relax the body, like for health benefits. But the other actual important thing that why we do Ramadan is like you're supposed to refrain from all, let's say, the gossips, all the bad deeds. Like these are the things that you should actually not doing like all the year long, but still like at least Ramadan is like a month where we're supposed to refrain from anything that is bad or anything that is deteriorating to your health, or like anything bad you can do to other people. It's like a month where we try to pray a lot and also connect with our faith, connect with God. So at least this is how I see it, like personally. And then, sadly, a lot of Muslims, we eat too much in Ramadan. So we're supposed to fast so you can relax your body. The problem when we break the fast, all the delicious food is always cooked in Ramadan. So this is how our moms used to do. So sometimes all the cravings that we have, they will make it happen in Ramadan.
Oh.
So a lot of us, like Muslims, they say, we're supposed to lose weight in Ramadan. How come we gain weight? And it's like, because all the delicious food is cooked in Ramadan. I think it's also a month where we also visit each other. We invite people over for food, connect with people, families visit each other. People go to the mosque like for the prayers, connect with other people. Definitely you should do good deeds like outside of like Ramadan, but people try to be more like compassionate during that month. They try like to visit more their relatives. They try to do more charity. So this is how we. So this is somehow how we live the month.
I remember that you start the fast not at sunrise, but some minutes before the sunrise, right?
Yes. So you stop. You need to be ready.
Wow. So I have to wake up, and I'm allowed to eat early as soon as the
The sun.
before the sunrise.
Exactly. So I actually I don't wake up like to eat. So usually what I do from dinner to the next dinner. So sometimes I do 24 hours, which for me it makes me feel very comfortable. I think fasting in general, I see now a lot of people when it comes to dieting and nutrition, now like fasting, like diets are becoming very famous.
The intermittent fasting, and that's true.
It is very, at least for me, I think the times when I fast, I can feel the good health benefits. Like even my level of concentration. People think that when you fast, you cannot work. It's actually the opposite. The problem when I eat food, I can function properly.
and I can testify this because
Exactly.
it also happened. So let's go back in history when people used to hunt. When people used to hunt, they were more alert when they were hungry because they knew that their energy levels was getting low. They need, and if they wanted to survive, they need to get the deer or they need to hunt to get the food. What happens once they actually eat? They relax so much because there is no need, there is no emergency anymore.
Exactly.
And then it's like, okay, they are relaxed and sometimes they sleep. That happens still several thousands of years later, that after we eat, we have the tendency to be so relaxed. It's like,
Because
what
at
happened?
the end of the day, the blood moves from the brain and goes to the stomach. And that's how you lose like your productivity. I can't really, to be honest, like sometimes when I have classes in the afternoon or I need to do work in the afternoon, I try to skip lunch.
People is doing that. And people intentionally in the Western world, they learn about intermittent fasting just to do some self-healing, but they are also fasting just to remain productive. And I'm not sure how hard that can be on unprepared people for their health, because it's something that you have to revise with your doctor. How long can you do this? Like, it's good to do that, but it has to be measured. Because it's not for everybody.
I think if you definitely, because like for us fasting, so in Islam at least, so if you're someone who's sick and healthy, you have diabetes, you are not required to do the fasting. So a lot of people, they will be, oh, sick people do not, pregnant do not do fasting. So as long as you're a healthy person, you do the fasting, because you can handle it. Like it's not that hard. Definitely when it's like the hot weather, if you're gonna walk outside and you're not drinking water, it has been tough for me. It was summertime, when we do Ramadan in summertime in Tunisia, it's very tough because you cannot drink water. And the day is longer. But if you're healthy enough, I think you still can do the fasting. So I see a lot of athletes now, they do like fasting. I once tested like keto diet, and keto diet includes some like fasting. It was very, really helpful at that time. Okay, I'm used to fasting, so it was not a problem for me. But there is a lot of good health benefits, as you said. So I remember when I was working on my thesis in South Korea, the Ramadan was during the thesis writing time. I was worried, to be honest. I was like, oh, how am I going to manage working on my thesis and I'll be fasting? Surprisingly, I was very focused and I was able to achieve like a big chunk of my thesis when I was fasting. I was more productive. Surprisingly.
So there is a tip right there. Okay, let's assume you don't observe Ramadan, that you have other religion, but you want to be more productive. You can do the fasting.
I think it helps with losing weight, and I see now. I was talking to some people that I know. I used it also to lose weight. So for losing weight, it helps. And I think with time, you get used to it. You don't feel hungry. Like now, I don't really feel hungry at all. Like now, I'm talking to you. Like I stopped eating since dinner last night, and I'm not feeling hungry at all. I think it's not. I think it's usually it balances the sugar level in your blood, and when the sugar level is okay balanced, then you don't feel hunger.
It's true. It's true
Exactly.
about the sugar levels and the intake of sugar levels. This is something I experienced like yesterday. There was like the to close with the this after party, and there was a place that they were giving the coconut shake.
Oh, the coconut shake.
So
That was good.
I like it that so much. I didn't took one. I didn't took twice. I took 3 times.
But it has sugar, a lot of sugar.
And what happened to me? All of a sudden, like around 10:30 in the night, I was like, wait a second. I felt dizzy. Like I felt like I took like at least a 6-pack of alcohol. Like I drink a lot of beer, and it's like, wait a second, I didn't do that today. What is going on?
Sugar.
And then I saw those coconut milkshakes.
Shakes, yeah.
So that effect of sugar was having on me. Like I need to counter this at least. So I prepared a cup of coffee just to recover some level of sober, like to become sober.
But 4 is too much, by the way.
I took a cup of coffee just to recover my senses because I was getting drunk by sugar.
It is. Sugar is addictive.
Uh-huh.
Like it makes you. I was actually when I was getting the coconut shake, so I told them, "Can I have it with no sugar?" They told me it's impossible. You should have at least a little bit of sugar. This is how you get the full experience.
Uh-huh.
So I took a little bit, and then I could not really finish because I'm someone who doesn't eat that much sugar. So my coffee is black, everything. I try to balance sometimes if I wanna if I crave for something sweet, I usually add it with black coffee. So this is how I balance. So to whoever is listening to us today, I think sugar is dangerous.
Yeah,
Try
that's
to
true.
reduce it as much as you can.
Okay, for people who is like very tough, okay, sugar
It's not really good.
sugar eats your muscle. Like if you really want to build like a mass or to build performance,
Yeah.
if you eat sugar, all of a sudden it starts to eat the muscle that you have created. So be careful on that.
We can find if fruits has a lot of healthy sugar. So I would prefer eating fruits
Like an
than
apple.
getting exactly apple, anything here I'm enjoying the mangoes. Oh, because we don't have mangoes in Tunisia. We can't grow
Oh,
them. We can't
what?
grow them.
You don't have mangoes there?
That's the thing. It depends. So we're not.
How?
So we have, however, we have really good oranges. Our
Ah.
oranges are very good. We have different we have apples, oranges, dates. The thing that bananas we cannot grow them. Mangoes we cannot grow them. So the weather we can. So we grow strawberries, peach, and pomegranate, watermelon. But when it comes to mangoes, banana, we can't. It doesn't grow in our land. So I'm trying to eat as much as I can here in Malaysia.
So you mentioned about coffee, and you did experience with so many coffee shops. Something that some friends that were from Saudi Arabia or Kuwait, they told me that there is a way to experience the coffee, like no cream, no sugar. That's number one. But number two, in a cup of glass, like to experience the flavor of the coffee. Which are your thoughts about experiencing? Or which are your tips about experiencing the flavor of the coffee?
Don't add sugar.
Okay.
If you want to have the full flavor, I don't know. To be honest, I'm not someone who has been So what I like about coffee actually is this is what I once was talking to me and my brother. So the good thing about coffee that it's not the actual coffee. It's the talks around coffee. So usually when you meet your friends, so you're gonna drink coffee. So for me, why I transitioned to drinking coffee, because when I go outside, everything has sugar. So the only thing that I can control, and I know for 100% it has no sugar, is black coffee. So this is how it started for me.
Okay.
So I think for me the experience, I don't get what they do because we're different from Saudi Arabia. I don't know if they're talking about, we call it the Arabic coffee or something, the one that you boil it yeah, so I think usually those but it's different now. Now they just do it on the stove. But a long time ago they used to put how to call charcoal and these kind of things and the family gather and they put it in there and I think they still do it in Turkey. It's they do it on the hot sand. I don't know how they do it, to be honest, but it might be something different from they have in Saudi Arabia. So for us, I think we just enjoy coffee, like the company around coffee, like the chats around coffee, your friends, your family.
Okay, now an anecdotal story talking about coffee and friends. Did you know that King Charles the First was banning coffee shops in the 1800s because people was gathering and they were talking, and that king was like a little petty, like, oh, you're talking about conspiring against the kingdom. We should censor the coffee shops. Like, dude,
We need coffee
why?
shops.
Why?
There was a funny thing. So I learned this from my brother. So my brother is also the most productive in a coffee shop. So when we were working, so we ended up working within the same company. And then we ended up also, like, without even like trying, we ended up in the same office space. So we were both hired for different projects, and then the projects ended up like being consolidated under one department. So what he does, he usually gets permission from our supervisor, and he goes and sits in the coffee shop working. So our like boss at that time, whenever he wants to have a meeting with him, he just go to the coffee shop, order coffee, and do the meeting and come back. So one day when they were doing the structure of the new offices, like for the company. So when we received the office like layout, so everybody's like Siwar in here, Siwar here, Siwar in here. And then when it came to my brother, they put a screenshot of the Photoshop picture and they put Ashraf's office. It was so funny, just like it was like a joke. So since that time, I was like, okay. And then I started from time to time go there. So if I want to work on an application, actually my Asia School of Business, like MBA application, it was successfully well done from a coffee shop.
Look at that.
So I go there, just I'm by myself, I can focus. The smell of coffee makes you productive. It gives you more energy.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah.
So far we talked about USA, Tunisia, South Korea,
Malaysia.
And I would say recently we talked about King Charles from England, but that sounds like a World Cup. So I know that Tunisia is also in the World Cup.
What do you
For the FIFA World Cup.
Oh, I think I don't follow, like, I'm really, okay, I don't want to be sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't watch soccer. I was, okay, I don't know if whoever is connected to my social media. So we went with Asia School of Business. So this is like a small, like story, because we're talking about soccer. So you don't blame me and you don't ask me why I don't watch soccer. So my brother is fan of Chelsea.
Chelsea Football Club.
Exactly.
In
He is like a fan. And then after he finished like work for his organization, so his teammates wanted to give him a gift. So they paid for him a plane ticket to go and watch the game in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. That happened 12th of, I think, February, something like this. So he wanted like to, he's like, oh sister, and at that time the coincidence that we both were in Emirates. So he was like, oh Siwar. So he got ticket for the final game. And
Wait a second. Time out. So I guess which game are you talking? Is the Chelsea versus Palmeiras? The Intercontinental Cup.
Exactly. Oh my God, the whole stadium was green. It's like blue, little bit of blue, but
because Palmeiras is from Brazil.
Exactly. It's like we were looking. I was like, are these like the opponent team? Yes, that was that game. So we went to Abu Dhabi, and then we sat, and he got me like the tickets, and we arrived there. So that was like, I did not know, and I started feeling sleepy, and I slept. That was photos. Everyone told me, how come you slept in a soccer game? Like everyone was going crazy and me like this. I can show you pictures. You believe me?
It's not any soccer game. It's the Intercontinental Final. You got the champion of South America and the champion of the UEFA Champions League.
I was lucky also to have a ticket and go there, but I was exhausted first. We had a lot of studies and work to do at MIT, so I have my own reasons. I was exhausted. And then, I don't know, like I was watching, you know, like I'm a bit disconnected. I'm not like a soccer fan. So I wanted just to go. I was like, okay, this is like some good time, siblings time. And then after I woke up, like I remember, I was like this. And then done, I was like, I can't anymore. So I would just like put my head on my brother's shoulder and I slept. And he took actually a photo. Like it was a photo of him like this. It's on my social media. I put it. I was like, I think I'm a hopeless case after this. And everyone who saw the picture is like, how come you slept in a soccer game?
It was it was a good game because they went even to extra time.
I woke up at the end when they won. I was like, did they? And actually, I was praying that one of them just win, like so we can finish and go home. It's like this game should. I did not want to go through the extension. I was so tired.
So I can imagine that you may barely wake up and it's like they're lifting a jar. Okay.
And that's my brother like was so excited that he got me. Someone gave him a gift. One of the old like vintage T-shirts of Chelsea. They're the ones that they don't have them anymore. So it's like one of his friends. He had like a very rare collection. I was wearing a T-shirt from the very rare collection, and I slept.
Yeah.
I know. So my brother was disappointed.
But that's a very nice story because for somebody who is not familiar, it's like watching this like.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a nice show.
I'm just there.
People are laughing. There's a lot of people.
But it was noisy. But it was noisy. They told me like everyone is excited, but still I was really tired at that time. The time difference. Don't forget that when we went to MIT, so I was like MIT, then Dubai, and then like Malaysia. It's like and
8
my
hours,
body
8 hours,
exactly,
8 hours.
and my body did not adjust.
Wow.
And it was an intensive. Like also, you will go. You're going. So it's intense. Like a lot of classes because everything is like should be like done in 3 weeks or a month. So I was a bit tired to be honest. And also I'm not fan of like soccer games. I only watch the national team, the World Cup final, something like this, if my country is playing.
And they're gonna be playing in this November and December.
So this is what I heard the other day. I heard.
So we don't blame that if for all of the any other reason people will be traveling to Qatar to see the games. But the big show, which is the big final, this is something I tell because I also got an experience in the FIFA World Cup.
So they go to Qatar this time. I think it's in Qatar, right?
Yes.
Okay, that I know.
Try to get your tickets for the final. You don't know who is going to be playing, but it's the whole environment. You will see on the ceremony of closing. You will see the people doing the song of the. Like we have to remember, like many World Cups ago, it was Shakira doing the song. People will see Shakira on the big final. So this time is going to happen with these other people singing, but you will see the whole party, the whole celebration. The streets are going to be full. You will see the fan fest. You will get some of your memorabilia. It's a nice environment. You can have a story for your own life, like you were in the World Cup final.
Yeah, and get a lot of coffee. Don't fall asleep. Like
yes, that's true. Canada, I guess they have also good coffee there. So you just try to get your own stuff.
I was that day. I was like, no, I think I drank coffee, but I don't know what happened. I think the environment was very.
So how was the stadium? I mean, like how was the facility of the stadium?
It was big. It was big, and we were like sitting like on the I don't know how you call them. It seems there is like special names for this kind. I'm a bit like ignorant when it comes to soccer.
So you were in the VIP section in the owners'
No, it's not that one. Oh, come on, we can't afford that still. But no, we were like the one. It's the one on the sides, but it gives you like a top view, so you can.
The top view, so you can see the whole place. Okay, that one.
And also it's good because if you sit, I don't know, like the seats, like the ones in the middle. I think I can't do like this. I get dizzy. So we got the ones on the side. So we have like it was like on the top. So it was very comfortable to watch. To be honest.
That's cool.
But
That's
I'm
really
still
cool.
asleep.
Yeah, it happens. Maybe next time. Who knows?
I'll send you later the photo. You will see it. It was like he even made a video, and I was like. It's like I was sleeping, then I opened my eyes like this, and then I was like, whatever, I'm going back to sleep. Wake me up when the game finished.
Yeah, that's. You have a story for your ages. Like you were in the InterContinental final between Palmeiras
and people
and
were excited,
Chelsea.
and some people could not find tickets, and there's.
Yeah, that's also another thing that if you happen to get a ticket and you cannot buy, you cannot go there, you have your right to sell it, and people will pay top dollar.
It is. Yeah, they sold like more expensive. I think for that game there was still some like seats, but it was very interesting. There was a lot of people from Brazil. It's very interesting. People how they came all the way from there.
You know why?
Wow.
Okay. Besides the story that
Soccer
Brazil
fans,
has,
huh?
besides the story, Palmeiras itself have a huge problem inside Brazil because you have Flamengo who got the World Cup championship back in 1981. You have Sao Paulo, who last time
Okay, that I
became
heard.
was champion, was in 2005, and then you have Palmeiras, who happens to be one of the popular teams. That happens to be like, okay, I'm also top because I also won so many continental championships, but they have no World Cup championships.
Yeah.
Even Corinthians, uh, who is not as popular as Flamengo or Sao Paulo or Palmeiras, they also got the World Cup championship like almost 10 years ago. But
So it's like a
Palmeiras
famous
doesn't have it.
team.
Yeah, it's such a huge, famous,
Because they had like
massive team,
yeah,
and
the fans they were.
they don't have it. They don't have the World Cup yet. And it's like they got one chance, like last year against Real Madrid. Okay, because it was Real Madrid. But now they got the. This was maybe the closest against Chelsea.
The game actually was tight. I think they were like
1-1.
1-1, and then yeah, I think in the extension, I think then Chelsea managed to.
Yes, so this is the closest they have ever been because against Real Madrid they lost in the regulation.
They almost like, to be honest, they almost like won.
And that might explain why there were so many Brazilians or
There was
Palmeiras
many.
fans.
And you see them like in Dubai at that time, like you see them like it was obvious. My brother looks at this like, Siwar, these are gonna be our opponents. So you can see them in the green T-shirts, and it has like the name, like of the team, and you see them everywhere in the malls, in the transportation. So there was a lot of people that came to watch the game.
That's true.
So the fans were like, it was very interesting.
Talking about things that are fascinating, and knowing that things are usually taking a fascinating turn for the future. What about looking at the past? And I would like to ask you, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
So whatever you said, so something I always like, and I'm sure like most of like the people that may be watching us, or so there is a saying by Steve Jobs, it's like you cannot connect the dots forward, but you can connect them backward. So a lot of things that they might not make sense to us, like when we look at them like from now into the future, but once we get into that point and then look back, a lot of things will make sense. I think, to be honest, this is really a tough question. So what I can tell my younger self, I think a lot of the decisions that I made, I did not really make them, maybe because I wanted to make them, but things worked that way, and now I'm grateful that things worked that way. So I would tell myself to still, like, I don't have regrets. Like, I'm someone that I don't have a lot of regrets. Somehow I don't have regrets, to be honest, because whatever I wanted to study, I did. Whatever I wanted to do, I did. Of course, like, not everything, definitely. I have my own like lines that I don't cross, but at least whatever I thought is something that I want to achieve, I did. So I think maybe I will tell my younger self to be more confident, which is, it's very interesting that we mentioned it a bit earlier. Now we're going to go back to this imposter syndrome or something. I grew up in a culture, and I'm sure a lot of people grew up within the same cultures. Like our parents, our grandparents, they will tell you like you should be humble, like humility is the key. And the problem that sometimes it gets a bit confused, that sometimes you start feeling like a bit you're not confident, start to feel a bit less or something, or you're not good enough, or these kind of things. So I will tell my younger self not to confuse both. You still can be humble and with humility, and you still can be confident. So for me, when I was growing up, so I felt that, if I tell myself, hey, Siwar, you're good, or you do it's me being a bit arrogant. So I try to avoid even doing those to myself, which now I realized it was very important. I should have done that. So maybe I would tell my younger self, stand in front of the mirror, tap on your shoulder, tell yourself that you're good enough, that you can do things, that you're good. Like I see a lot of my friends, like now I started doing it. Now it's like, Siwar, you did well. Because sometimes we keep forgetting to give credit to ourselves. Sometimes we forget to, as Professor Loredana, give validation. So we give validation to others, but sadly we forget to give validation to ourselves. And I think that's something I'm really, it's one of the mistakes that maybe I've done with myself. So I'm catching up on that, but I would tell my younger self to be more confident, to validate, like myself. Like if I do something good, I should say I did something good. However, a lot of the things that I've done, I will tell my younger self, like, do what you've done. I still have no regrets. I'm so grateful that I've been that I met a lot of people from different religions. I'm glad that I grew up with a mindset that I was open to different cultures and religions. I've never had you still have a bit of judgment when you're growing up, but the good thing when you start traveling and meeting people from different cultures and religions, and then you find a lot of nice and kind people, you start really realizing that nothing matters. At the end of the day, we're humans, and at the end of the day, if I like you as a person and then we're very good friends, it doesn't matter what is your religion, what's your race, where you come from. So for me, I would also tell myself to keep doing the same thing, and I would tell this even to younger people. You will miss out if you judge people based on their backgrounds, races, religion, culture. You will really miss out on potential, really good, meaningful friendships. And I'm glad that I did not really live that way. So I'm glad, now I have the best connections, I have the best friendships, and I'm so grateful. They have different religions, backgrounds, Buddhist, Hindus, Christian, Jews, Muslims, anything. And I'm glad that I was able to open up, and people opened up to me. So definitely you should really, really don't miss any chance to meet people from different backgrounds. It's a very rewarding journey. It's a very rewarding thing to do. And good people and kind people exist everywhere. It doesn't matter. And I'm glad I realized this early in my life. So I did not miss out on anything.
That's a very nice.
No regrets.
A very nice piece of advice that you gave us today. How people can find you? Because you mentioned that you have social media many times. How people can find you?
No. I'm not an influencer, so don't listen to FVR. Don't put me on this one. No, it's just my own.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing. So our ASB circle, we follow each other. We're following each other. But you definitely need to see that photo.
Okay, so you're on Twitter?
No, I don't use Twitter.
Are you on Instagram?
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I lately started avoiding Facebook because it's a bit depressing. So I'm more into cat photos on Instagram.
Okay. All right.
It's a bit it relieves stress, to be honest. Instagram is less political.
Yeah,
Facebook
that's
is very
true.
political. I can't really handle it anymore. It's too much.
Oh yeah, it's those apps nowadays are a mental institution where people are throwing trash to each other, and it's I don't want to be.
Exactly. When I first, I think I joined Facebook in 2007. So when it was when it first started, and it was the objective, at least for me and everyone at that time, is to stay in touch, because we go to international events, we meet people from different countries. So the only way to stay in touch was Facebook. But Facebook became a bit toxic, to be honest, for me, the past years. So I transitioned to Instagram. So the good thing about Instagram is just photos, memes. So when I feel stressed, I just go to Instagram, watch some
Some
videos,
reels, some shorts.
some shorts, some photos. Usually I enjoy animal photos. There will be a lot of funny videos. So I just distract myself a little bit from whatever I'm doing, and then I go back again to study or assignments.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, we really appreciate the time that you spent with us today. Siwar, we have no more words but to thank all of this and this opportunity.
Thank you so much. I'm so
thank you very much.
Also.
So,
And it's good to
folks,
connect with you.
see you when I see you, and stay safe out there, okay?
Bye.